Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of CEOs You Should Know. This is Steve Delisant. I am joined today by Kevin Carey, CEO of YAI. Kevin, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you so much for having us.
YAI sounds like a really amazing organization. Right before the podcast, we actually found out you guys have a location so close by as well, right?
We do. Yes, it is an amazing organization. We provide services and supports to people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We operate in New York, New Jersey, and California, have about 4,000 employees, and provide supports to about 20,000 people a year. So
wow, that's
a lot
awesome.
going on. Yes, thank you.
It sounds like quite an amazing organization, so I'm excited to be able to dive into it today. Your journey there started as you were the CFO, and then recently you assumed the role of CEO. So tell us a little bit about your background and what influenced you to originally join YAI.
Yeah. So I've been part of the IDD community for about 15 years through a previous employment opportunity at Easter Seals, New York. And when the opportunity to join YAI came up in 2016, I was really excited because YAI has historically been well known in the field for exceptional quality services and programs and management. So I was really excited to join the organization as CFO back in 2016. And when I got there, I was not surprised to hear that all the things that YAI is known for were true.
Awesome.
And one of the the biggest surprises to me when I joined the organization was how dedicated all the administrative staff, the finance staff, the accountants, the payroll specialists, the accounts payable specialists were in the mission of the organization, which really spoke to me and really helped drive my enthusiasm for being part of the organization and for trying to continue to grow within the organization there. I think it's something that's really unique about YAI, and what we always say makes staff really successful is when somebody has that connection to the mission. It doesn't matter if you're coming in as an entry-level position or if you're coming in as a CEO. If you're not there and connected to the mission, you're not going to be successful in your role. And I think we have a really dedicated staff and really great management and leadership, and we're really excited about the future and the opportunities that we have at YAI.
That's awesome. And it always makes a difference when the people behind you, right, support the full mission. So that's an awesome journey, and it's really refreshing to hear that everybody also embodies what you guys represent on an internal basis as well. So you served as the Director of Financial Operations and Business Development at the Children's Aid Society prior to it. How did that experience get you ready for YAI and get ready to step in that CFO role initially?
Yeah, I've had the very fortunate experience in my career of working for some really fantastic mission-based organizations. So I started out at the Lower Manhattan Development Corporation, which was a quasi-city-state agency founded after 9/11 to rebuild and revitalize Lower Manhattan. And I've also worked at Easter Seals, New York, and at Children's Aid Society. And all of those organizations really set me up for my position at YAI, first as CFO and then as CEO. I've been really lucky to have some wonderful mentors and leaders that I've worked with who have really shown me that it's the pride in your work, it is the dedication to the mission, and it is really focusing on the outcomes and the quality of what we're here to do every day. The work that we do, because it's mission focused and it really has a huge impact on people, really starts from the top. And if you don't have the right leader, the right strategy, the right buy-in from that group, then you're not delivering the optimal outcomes for the people who really depend on those services. And from my time at Children's Aid, at Easter Seals, and at Lower Manhattan Development, I really was fortunate to work with some really wonderful leaders that instilled that in me. And hopefully I can continue to instill that in other people who work at YAI today and will be the future leaders of other organizations.
That's awesome. It's always impressive when you kind of have lived the entire passion all throughout, right? And now
Yes.
it kind of got you to that CEO seat. And I think one of the other cool things is I also saw that you work with a lot of nonprofit organizations outside of YAI. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that and the work you do with them?
Sure. The field that we're in at YAI, which is to support people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, or IDD, there's a lot of providers like YAI, and it's unique because while we don't necessarily have competitors, we call them partners because we're all in it for the same reason. We're all in it to provide exceptional supports for people with IDD. And I've been fortunate enough to work for other organizations and to be on the board of other organizations to support that. One thing that we learn all the time from each other is best practices, what's working, what's not working, how we can use things that other organizations are doing to then implement at YAI and improve the lives of the people we're supporting, because that's really what we're here to do. We really look at ourselves as innovative, as flexible, as adaptable. At YAI, we don't want to just do what we've always been doing because everything changes. Funding changes, the needs of the people we're supporting changes, the definition of community inclusion changes. And we want to keep up with that and make sure that we're providing the most exceptional supports for people with IDD. So being able to be a part of other organizations and hear what they're doing, sometimes gives me some ideas, and sometimes allows me to share ideas of what YAI is doing to really focus on improving the lives of people with IDD, which is what we're here to do.
That's awesome. We talked about this a little bit earlier about your employees, right? And them really buying into the mission and representing that like no other. How do you prioritize and support their professional development as their members of YAI?
Yeah, that's a great question. We know that our employees are the key to the success, and our success really is to deliver those quality services to people with IDD. So it's really important to keep employees engaged, to make sure that they understand the impact that they're having, to focus on the quality of services that we're trying to deliver. So we have done a lot of things the last couple of years to try to improve that engagement or increase that engagement. One thing is to show that YAI is a career, not a job, and that's something that we try to say a lot. You can come in as an entry-level DSP and work your way up to a supervisor, a director, a regional director. You could switch and move into accounting or into HR. You could be the future CEO one day. We want to really show staff that there is a pathway within the organization for them to grow personally and professionally. And we've really focused on that the last couple of years to make sure that staff understand that and that staff know that there is that pathway. We also really focus on training at YAI. We've been known for decades for the training services that we provide, both internally and externally. So we have a big external training program where we provide trainings to other providers, both in the IDD field and outside of the IDD field, on hard skills and soft skills. And we focus internally on making sure that staff have those trainings and the ability to continuously learn on the job and to do the best work that they can do so that the people we're supporting are succeeding. And benefits, obviously, is a big component,
100%.
making sure that staff have the benefits that they need and that will keep them on the job. And listening to staff is a key piece also. One thing that I instituted when I became CEO a year ago, we call office hours, which is an opportunity for staff to come and meet with me one-on-one, whether it be virtual or in person, in 15-minute sessions, and just tell me what's on their mind. And that has enabled me to really understand what's working, what's not working at the organization, where we can do better. And it's also an opportunity for staff to feel like they're being heard and that they have a way to connect and guide the direction of the organization. And it's been really helpful. We've always, at YAI, had an open door policy. So staff always had the ability to voice their concerns or their ideas. But this sort of formalized it a little bit more and gave them a direct route to the CEO, which I don't think has existed before. And it's been really meaningful to me. I think it's been meaningful to staff. And I've met with about 150 staff over the last year. And it's, I think
awesome.
that, it's been a great initiative. And it helps me, again, to really know as the leader of the organization where staff need to go in order to make sure that we're excelling, that they are staying engaged, and recognizing the hard work that they're doing.
I'm sure they appreciate the transparency, and it's probably really rewarding for you to also be so connected to all the different employees within the organization.
It is. One of when I was the CFO, I did not have the same opportunities that I have as CEO to get out into the programs and to meet with staff and to meet with the people we support. And that's been one of the most beneficial parts of my job is getting out and seeing on the ground what's working, what's not working. It's very easy to sit in an office and think that you're doing the right thing all day, but if you're not out there hearing directly from the people that we're supporting, hearing from the staff, hearing from management and supervisors as to what's happening on the ground, it's easy to lose sight of that and to not really focus on the strategies and the priorities of the organization in order to move us in the right direction.
Yeah, 100%. Sounds like a great culture. I think two of the most important things for employees is really having their voices be heard and then also having that growth and that training, that path to success. And obviously, you're a living, breathing example of that, going from the CFO role to the CEO role. So they obviously see that prime example in what you exhibit.
Yeah, we have a strong culture at YAI. We like to talk about collaboration, respect, professionalism, and joy. I think it's one thing that we try to never lose sight of is that we should be happy in the work that we're doing. It's very, very difficult work being a direct support professional, which is what most of our staff are, providing those direct services to people with IDD. And we want to make sure that people, the staff who are doing this very difficult job, are happy doing the job
Yeah,
and feel the reward of what they're
100%.
doing, because it has a huge impact in the people we're supporting, and it's really important that staff understand that.
Yeah, that's awesome. One of the significant achievements of at YI was integrating the International Academy of Hope into the organization. How has this integration really helped the services? How has it helped the support of the different individuals in brain-based disorders?
Sure. So iHope, International Academy of Hope, is a school for children with traumatic brain injury and other brain-based disorders. That's the program that's right down the street that we talked about before. When it first came to iHope, when iHope first came to YI back in 2017, I had been asked by the board chair of iHope to come and meet the school and see if it would be a good fit with YI. So I went to the school and immediately saw that there was a tremendous amount of synergies between what the school was doing and what we could do with the school at YAI. The school was running very, very well. It had tremendous staff and had a really, really good program. They just lacked some administrative support with finance, HR, IT, those kind of things. And that's where they were looking for the integration with YAI. So we moved forward with that partnership. And fast forward, 7 years later, the school went from 38 students to almost 150 students.
Wow.
We just moved last year into a brand new state-of-the-art facility that was built and designed with the students in mind. And that's an important concept, because most of the students who go to that school are non-ambulatory and nonverbal. So we built the hallways extra wide to accommodate for wheelchairs. We have a therapeutic pool in the basement so that students can utilize that therapy in terms of their physical therapy needs that they get at the school. We have huge gyms for occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physical therapy at the school to help provide those supports to the students. And we also really have emphasized the use of assistive technology and adaptive equipment. So many of the students, as I mentioned, are nonverbal and non-ambulatory, and just because they can't speak doesn't mean they don't have anything to say. So we really utilize assistive technology and adaptive equipment to enable students to voice their desires, voice their wants, and tell us what they want to do. And the good thing about that integration between iHope and YI is we have now been able to implement a lot of those things that iHope was doing into the broader spectrum of the services that we provide at YI. So a lot more assistive technology through our Center for Innovation and Engagement have been brought into YI, and we're now implementing more technology to support people outside of iHope that we may never have done if we didn't have this integration in the first place.
That's awesome. It sounds like a remarkable facility. I can't wait to see it firsthand. And
Yes.
It sounds like technology is a big part of it, right? Like you have to have the cutting edge technology,
Absolutely.
to your point, to be able to really assist and take care of the individuals the appropriate way.
Yeah, absolutely. Technology is a huge focus of ours at YAI for the last couple of years, and we see it in the next couple of years as well. It's something that the state funds all of our operations, has not really invested in terms of people with IDD and people who are being supported by organizations like YAI. The focus is always on providing residential supports or day hab or community hab and direct care supports, which is obviously critically important. But enabling people to utilize technology just the way you do or I do, gives them a voice or gives them a sense of inclusion in the community. And we're really focusing on innovation and the use of technology and providing those opportunities for people with IDD where they don't normally get that outside of the organization.
Yeah, it sounds extremely important and crucial for the organization. Like you said, you want to make sure that they have a voice, and it sounds like technology is allowing them to be able to do so. So that's awesome. Yeah. Throughout your entire time and your belief in the mission, was there a personal experience that you had or moment that really reaffirmed your dedication to YAI and the mission of the organization?
Yeah, it's that happens almost every day when I go out and visit our programs and I see the impact that we have. And as I mentioned earlier, that's my most rewarding part of my job is
Absolutely.
getting out there and visiting the programs. A specific example that comes to mind is about a year ago, I was giving some tours to a prospective new board member, and we went and visited a supportive employment, a supported apartment, which is a home where somebody who doesn't need as much supports can live in. So there's not 24/7 staffing. This is this person's own apartment, and staff come and check on them when they need it. And so we asked Peter if we would come and visit his apartment to show the board member what a supportive apartment looks like. And Peter said, yes, of course. So we got there. Peter had went out that morning and bought donuts for us and got waters for us.
Nice.
When we came to visit his apartment, he was so proud to show us that he had cleaned it that morning. He was showing me how he plays his guitar. And we talked for a while about how he was really looking to get meaningful employment. And employment is such a critical piece of helping people with IDD fulfill their dreams and their desires if they want that. And so Peter and I had a great conversation. We ended up becoming somewhat of pen pals. We emailed back and forth to each other. And about 3 months ago, Peter did get a job. And
Awesome.
he called me and left me a voicemail because I was not in that day, and was so excited to share with me that he got a job and asked me to come and visit him at work, which I did about a couple weeks later. And that's one story of dozens, if not hundreds, of
100%.
the impact that we have on people every day. And it really helps me to remind myself and remind the team of what we're doing, why we're doing, and why it's so important.
That must have been extremely rewarding listening to that voicemail.
Yes, it was.
Congrats to Peter.
Yes, congrats to Peter.
That's an awesome feeling, and awesome to see, obviously, all the work and the hard work that you and your team do come to fruition and be able to impact lives just like that. That's an awesome story. Thanks for sharing that with us. Looking back at your first year of CEO, are there any key lessons or insights that you personally experienced for the first time when it came to leadership?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think in looking back, one of the things that I've done better now that I could have done better in the beginning is really be a little bit more focused and direct when we have tasks that need to be done. There's millions of things that need to get done in an organization like YI every single day, and even the smallest task can seem impossible without clear direction on who's responsible, what are the timelines, what are the deadlines. So I think focusing on really making sure that people are empowered to do their job and that they understand what the expectations and responsibilities are is something that I've been working on myself, and I think we're doing a little bit better now. Focusing on being flexible and adaptable. I know I mentioned that earlier, but in the line of business that we're in people-focused work, not everybody is the same. In fact, the 20,000 people we support are all very, very different. So we have to be adaptable and flexible. And I think coming into a leadership role, understanding that we need to really be person-centered and person-focused is something that YI has always been really, really well known for, and something that I embraced at the start, but didn't necessarily understand what that meant. And as I've grown as a leader of the organization in the last year, it's sort of renewed my focus on what's important and what I can do to help impact the lives of the thousands of people that we're supporting. So that's one lesson that I think I've learned.
Yeah,
that
it's
I
an
will
important
move
lesson. Following the theme of adaptability, right? One of probably the biggest things that people sometimes struggle with is work-life balance. In addition to being a CEO, your husband, your father, obviously you have a lot of people that you're responsible for at YAI as well. How do you balance that all? And how do you kind of deal with your personal life as well as your professional?
Yeah, well, my family keeps me just as busy as my job keeps me. I'm very fortunate. I have a beautiful, lovely wife who's very, very supportive. I have two wonderful children who are 7 and 5, so they keep me very, very busy on the weekends. And my wife and I both come from very big families who are really supportive, not just of us, but of the work that I do. And I think that's really, really important to have family members that support and believe in the work and help me to realize those goals. When I'm not working, I like to relax with the kids and with my wife. We go hiking a lot. We love to spend as much time outdoors as we can when the weather cooperates. I coach my son's baseball team and my daughter's soccer team, so a very typical suburban dad.
Love that.
And love to read when I do have the time to do that. And spend as much time outdoors as possible. And I think one thing I've been trying to do with my kids, and they're little, they're 7 and 5, is raise them in this world of understanding of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. I think it's really, really important for me in the role that I'm in, but also just as a community member to
100%.
understand, to advocate for people, and to empathize for people when it's needed. And, I bring my kids to our annual event every year, our Central Park Challenge. I bring them to work when I can or to other work events. In fact, my daughter's first Central Park Challenge, she was 10 days old. So really made sure that she was part of it from the beginning. It's been great. The family's very supportive. And, Yeah, I think work-life balance is one of the biggest challenges that we have at the organization because the work is so demanding. And I'm not speaking for myself now. I'm speaking for most of our direct support professionals
Absolutely.
who work incredibly hard. Most of them put in a lot of overtime, and it's an area that we try and focus on at YI. There's a delicate balance between allowing staff to or needing staff to work that many hours based on the really tough labor market that we have, but also making sure that staff understand and can protect themselves, and that if you can't take care of yourself, you cannot take care of somebody else.
Yep.
So it's something that we constantly talk about, work-life balance. And this month is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we are sharing information with staff about how to take care of themselves. But it is something that we will continuously do. And as a leader for the organization, I think it's really critically important that staff understand how to take care of themselves so they can be their best selves at work.
100%. It's a really important topic for all employees, so they're very lucky to have a CEO that has that mindset. So looking ahead, what are your future aspirations for YI? Like, where do you see the future going as you in the CEO role?
Yeah, I think it's really important to continue to innovate within the organization. There's a lot of providers that do what we do at YI and that do it really, really well. But we don't want to just do what we've done forever. We want to do new things. We want to do things differently. I think one thing that we really focus on is community inclusion for the people we're supporting and moving people into less restrictive settings. So we have some people who live with us in a supervised setting, which means they're staffed 24/7, and they may not want that or they may not need that. And so to help them move into a supportive apartment or into their own apartment where there are no staff, if they can and if they desire that, something that we're looking to do to really downsize some of our programs so that they're not these big programs that have so many people either living there or going there for a day program, but really individualized care and individualized attention for what each person wants and what each person needs. So focusing on community inclusion, really getting out of the old way of thinking and thinking based on each person in a person-centered approach and designing programs around each person. So talking to everybody, what do you want to do? How can we support you in your vision for yourself, and seeing how we can actualize that.
That's awesome. I know the Central Park Challenge is one of the most significant fundraising events for you guys, right? Can you share some highlights about the event and how the funds that are raised really support YAI?
Yeah. Central Park Challenge is our biggest fundraiser. It's every year, the first Saturday in June. This year, it's on June 1st. It's from 8 a.m. to noon. We'd love to get as many people there as possible, so we welcome all of the listeners to come out to Central Park on June 1st. We have Bill Ritter from WABC TV as the MC, and he's been our MC
Awesome.
for over 20 years. Maria Melito from Q1047 will be there this year as well.
Just saw her in the hallway.
The Blue Man Group will be there, and we'll have thousands of people with IDD, their families, and our staff there as well. And it's really a fun, festive atmosphere, a way for YI to showcase the work that we do, the impact that we have, and for people to learn about what we're doing and participate in that. And there's lots of ways that people can participate just by coming to the park. They can donate. They can volunteer. There's lots of different ways for the community to get engaged with us. And we're really excited about the event this year. So hopefully we'll see everybody there.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, how can our listeners find out more about YAI?
Yeah, they can go to our website, yi.org. Also follow us on all of the various social media platforms. We're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, all the platforms. And there's lots of different ways to get engaged with the organization. There is you can become an employee. If someone's looking for a job, I welcome them to go to our website and look to see what opportunities we have there. There's volunteer opportunities. As I mentioned before, you can donate. For corporations, there's corporate sponsorships. There's also employment opportunities, which is a huge area of need for YI. We're really focusing on creating employment opportunities for all of the people we support who want employment. And we're looking for corporations that are looking to hire people with disabilities. And so there's ways to partner there, whether it be through interviews or through actual hiring. And our program actually supports people in employment. So if somebody that we're supporting gets a job, it's not as if they start that job and they're by themselves. We support them and we help them, excel and work at the place where they are getting employment from. So there's those opportunities as well. And there's also coming out to the park and seeing us on June 1st.
That's awesome. Well, I'm excited to go see the facility firsthand. I'm definitely going to come down
Please
and
do.
definitely check out the Central Park Challenge. But thank you, Kevin, for coming in to be our guest on CEOs You Should Know. But more importantly, thank you for all the amazing work you and YAI does. It sounds like a really amazing organization that I'm glad so many of our listeners got to know a little bit better. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in and for joining us. And we will see you next week on the next edition of CEOs You Should Know.
Thank you.
Thank you.